None of these these negative interpretations are without merit, are they? Especially in the context of what we just saw. But I think that the impact of this mixed message on men is really very profound. So let me share a personal story. For much of our daughter's childhood, Nancy Groover, who is my wife, and I worked odd hours, and I got to be an at-home dad, doing the mundane details of child rearing. I fed and bathed and dressed and tickled, held, and played with my daughters, and my daughters and I felt comfortable touching each other because we had each other's trust. This helped provide one of the most wonderful physical sensations of my life, having one of these colicky infants drop off to sleep in my arms and melt into my shoulder. Now, does anybody feel even the least tinge of unease or awkwardness hearing me talk about touching my daughters? And, yeah, I heard it.
Now.
Yeah, now. Yeah. In this context, now, yes, of course we do. Okay. I feel odd talking about it. Part of me feels as if by admitting that I touch my daughters, and here are pictures of me touching my daughters, that I have committed a crime. That I've admitted to a crime that I didn't commit. As a man, and I'll ask the men in the audience here, and you can acknowledge openly or not, have you ever hesitated to touch your child or other children you love because how they or other people might interpret that touch? Fathers sometimes hide the joy and comfort they get and give with physical affection with their child because others might be suspicious or mortified about it in the context of this pornified culture. Okay? It's not easy for a man or a boy to talk about good touch, bad touch without feeling like a perp. And that is a steep price to pay. And it's a price all of us pay, parents, children, and communities, for pseudo-sexualization, because pseudo-sexualization inhibits good touch. But of course we know where that suspicion comes from, don't we? And we just saw a lot of evidence of it. Its roots lie in porn, in the horrifying number of children abused by fathers and other men in positions of trust, the frightening hyper-pseudo-sexualization of younger and younger children, the media's normalization of pornification. And as part of the fraternity of men, I get really discouraged and disheartened and angry and depressed about how my abusive male brothers act. And so I begin to mistrust other men. And I think all of us in here, men and women, have mistrusted other men, haven't we? Even if we didn't have evidence about that particular person. Right? And I begin to mistrust myself because our fraternity has failed to effectively hold our brothers accountable for the attitudes and the behaviors which harm women and children and produce porn and pseudo-sexualization, and which also lead to male emotional illiteracy and male emotional death. I'll tell you another story. Meet Heather Henderson, the first deputy director of Dads and Daughters. She was a bright, driven, talented, hyper-responsible young woman. She set up all of the infrastructure that got dads off the ground, let us start fighting the evils like pseudo-sexualization of children. So it was strange one morning when she didn't come to work. Eventually I went up to her house, found her face down on her kitchen floor, dead of a heart attack at age 27, after an 11-year battle with bulimia. You can share that story if anybody ever challenges you about the impact of pseudo-sexualization on children. It's killing our children.